To dive into here, I mean, I'm kind of surprised to see how many injury updates we actually have, considering the fact that, hell, we had 3 games on Thursday. Never mind. I guess no teams are on bye, so that's probably why we have so many injuries that we have to talk about. But let me go through, let me set everything up here. Just give me 1 second. Y'all know this is a live stream. This is not a video, so it takes me a little bit of time. And as I set this up, let me remind everybody that there's a thumbs up button down there. If you go and hit that thumbs up button, I mean, it dances, it turns white, it does a cool little animation. Go down there, drop a like in the video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you want to check out any of these player props, if you want to get into best ball drafts with us on the live stream, you know we did over 700 drafts this year. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. When you sign up for Underdog and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So you deposit $10, immediately have 20 in your account. Hell, available in damn near every state. And not only are you getting that free deposit bonus, but it doesn't matter if you signed up a year ago, 2 years ago to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, or you sign up today, tomorrow, Week 13, we are going to be able to get y'all a free bet only for the people who use promo code FLOCK. It will be a Patrick Mahomes line, more than less than half a passing yard. So let's go through and see where Patrick Mahomes is here. So you see the man where it says 287 for this week. Next week, if you use promo code FLOCK, that will say 0.5 passing yards. We'll be excited about that. But I think that should be about it. I think we're all set up here. Let's go through. Let's dive into the news that we have. Starting off with Ja'Marr Chase. I owe everybody an apology. I thought Ja'Marr Chase was good to go. I've been telling people we are starting Ja'Marr Chase, put him in. I mean, Joe Burrow told us earlier in the week that he was expecting Ja'Marr Chase to play, blah, blah, blah. And nope, no longer the case. Ja'Marr Chase is going to be missing. So I think that this makes, I mean, you have to go make some last minute adjustments if you had him at wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, or the flex. And also if you're going to be looking at Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's now a viable play. But now going over to the other player in Cincinnati, we obviously know Joe Mixon missing this week. Samaje Perine is going to be a viable option if you want to go through, put him in at a running back 2 spot. Keep in mind, he will be a low-end RB2. Now, what's very interesting, Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon have combined for 8 touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Like, obviously, this is an offense scoring a lot of points. Now, going over to Green Bay, Allen Lazard, completely good to go. Aaron Jones, completely good to go. Romeo Doubs is going to be out, however. So now that Romeo Doubs is out, I think you can look at both Christian Watson as well as Allen Lazard now as viable options. I was a little bit worried about these guys earlier on in the week, just in case you were to end up having Romeo Doubs as a surprise active on Sunday night. Then all of a sudden you have Allen Lazard, Christian Watson competing with Romeo Doubs, Randall Cobb, Aaron Jones, all for targets as well. So I would probably go through and look to start Lazard and Christian Watson as a flex if you needed that wide receiver upside. I mean, y'all know last week we were saying start Christian Watson, start Christian Watson, start Christian Watson. We had him ranked ahead of Allen Lazard. I thought he was a must-start player. He came through with 2 touchdowns, but honestly, I'm a little less excited about him now considering the fact that he only had 6 targets compared to Allen Lazard at 11. So let me know what you're thinking. I mean, last week it was easy for me to say to start Christian Watson. I think we maybe got a little lucky, though. Now, going over to Denver, Latavius Murray, going to be 100% good to go. Great matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Will be targeted out of the backfield because, I mean, hell, there are a lot of players missing in Denver. You have KJ Hamler out. You have Jerry Jeudy out. And on top of this, we know Chase Edmonds did go to the IR. So you do have Latavius Murray, in my opinion, as a viable low-end RB2. I mean, as a running back that is, yes, in a very bad offense, but a very good matchup, and he's going to get pretty much every single touch in that given matchup. And also, Courtland Sutton should be a viable option now that we have both Jeudy and Hamler confirmed out. I mean, y'all know we were talking about Courtland Sutton coming into the season being the most overrated player in fantasy based on the historical splits that we've had in games where Jerry Jeudy and Sutton have played together. But when they don't play together, when you have no Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton is a great option. So please start Sutton this week. I like the matchup against Carolina as well. But going over to Josh Jacobs, oh my gosh, probably the worst news that we have gotten in quite some time. Josh Jacobs popping up with an ankle injury. Josh Jacobs being a surprise addition to the injury report. Now, what's nice to see is it's not like he was a surprise addition to the injury report and all of a sudden he missed practice. Nope. I mean, he was added to the injury report and he was still at practice. So I am operating under the assumption that Josh Jacobs is playing. Now, this is difficult to do because obviously playing on the West Coast here, going up against the Seattle Seahawks, this is going to be a later game where we're not going to have 100% clarity. And I will also admit, my most drafted running back, so I am very, very biased. I really need Josh Jacobs to play. I'm expecting him to play. And I will keep you all updated on Sunday morning, of course, if we have any other news. But Deebo Samuel, still questionable. Sounds like he practiced every single day this week. So sounds like Deebo Samuel is going to be good to go. I wouldn't worry about this too much, but it is something worth bringing up. Now, Keenan Allen removed from the injury report entirely. With Keenan Allen, I mean, I think that he can be a top 10 wide receiver rest of season. I would be a little hesitant to rank him as like a top 10 guy this week in particular, because obviously, I mean, we're not too far off the hamstring injury. I mean, we only have 1 week of Keenan Allen actually playing in full, and he was still on a limited snap count this past week. So I'm going to rank Keenan Allen as like a mid-wide receiver 2 this week. But long-term, I think Keenan can be a top 10 guy. You have Gerald Everett playing as well. And because we have Mike Williams out this game, I think Gerald Everett's still going to be a viable option to go through and put in at your tight end spot. We were saying that Everett was going to be someone that we wanted to go ahead and avoid. But that was back when we thought we had both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen coming back into this offense. So at this point, I think you can go through. You can get Gerald Everett in there. Quick side note, we are at 99 likes in the live stream. If y'all want to go down there, drop a like and help us get to 100, I would appreciate it. But going over to our next guy, Rondale Moore here will not play against the Chargers with the groin injury. Not only is Rondale Moore not playing, I accidentally got the slides out of order here, but Greg Dortch is also a game time decision. So that makes it where Hollywood Brown, when he's expected to play, if we have no Rondale Moore, if you potentially have a banged up / limited / out Greg Dortch, and also we know Zach Ertz isn't going to be in this contest, you actually have a decent amount of targets for Hollywood in this offense. So usually we try to avoid these players coming back from their first week with a lower body injury like this, but I actually think Hollywood Brown can be started as a wide receiver 2 this week, considering everything else going on in Arizona. Now going over to Baltimore, Gus Edwards, still questionable. Now he has been practicing, but in reality, I don't know if we can start anybody for the Baltimore Ravens at running back. The only way I would start a Baltimore Ravens running back is if Gus Edwards were to miss, and this goes from being a 3-man split backfield between Gus Edwards, Kenyon Drake, and Justice Hill to being a 2-man split backfield where I think you could start Kenyon Drake if you're desperate. But if Gus Edwards plays, you can't play anyone. Now going over to the wide receivers, obviously we have Rashad Bateman out for the season. DeMarcus Robinson, still questionable. Devin Duvernay, questionable as well. Sounds like these guys are probably going to be good to go. Now with Isaiah Likely, I grabbed this screenshot about 30 minutes ago, and about 10 minutes ago, he was officially ruled out. So Isaiah Likely, not questionable. He is going to be ruled out. But with all the injuries that we have in Baltimore, you know what this means? Mark Andrews tight end 1. Like, if they're going to be able to move the ball down the field whatsoever, it's going to have to be through Mark Andrews. If you have not passed your trade deadline, for the love of God, go see what price point you could get Mark Andrews for. But now going over to Tampa, Leonard Fournette most likely going to miss. Now, of course, we're speaking under the assumption that Leonard Fournette does not play. But if that will be the case and Leonard Fournette does miss this game against the Browns, I think that you have to go through and fire up Rachaad White as a top 10 running back. In a full PPR format, given the passing down ability that Rachaad White has, if Leonard Fournette were to miss, Rachaad White is a top 10 RB, someone you have to have in your starting lineup. Y'all know we spent the entire season saying buy low on Rachaad White, buy low on Rachaad White, buy low on Rachaad White. So I know everybody in the flock does have him. But now going over to our next one, we already talked about that. Kadarius Toney in Kansas City, not going to play. Juju Smith-Schuster will play, and we already know McCole Hardman's on the IR. So I think this is shaping up to a pretty nice spot for Juju Smith-Schuster. Y'all know about a month ago when he was coming off of back-to-back performances with 100 receiving yards, the receiving touchdown. We looked at this situation and said, okay, it's going to be difficult to project this kind of volume for him going forward if we have some more wide receiver depth. Travis Kelce getting everything in Kansas City. Let's go through and let's look to sell Juju Smith-Schuster. Then he gets injured. Of course, we weren't predicting the concussion, but then his value craters because of the concussion. And now he's in a better situation with both those wide receivers being listed as out. I think the volume is going to be a little bit safer. So I am more excited about Juju Smith-Schuster than I previously was. I think you have to move Juju Smith-Schuster up your rankings. He's in a better situation than he was previously, and his value's actually gone down. So, if you're not past your trade deadline, I think maybe that's a player we can acquire. Already talked about Leonard Fournette here. And going over to Arizona again, Kyler Murray is going to start. We already looked at this. Now, the interesting thing is, with Kyler Murray, we have no Zach Ertz. We have no Rondale Moore. We possibly have no Greg Dortch. So I don't know how excited we can be about this. I mean, the Chargers is kind of whatever matchup. They're probably going to try to run the ball as much as they can with James Conner. What I'm a little bit worried about is a rushing quarterback with the lower body injury. Maybe Kyler doesn't run the ball as much. Very similar to our next guy here in Justin Fields, who is still a game time decision. We don't have the clarity on Justin Fields just yet, or really hope that we're going to get it sometime soon. With Justin Fields, this is a quarterback that if he were to play, I think it would be difficult to project him as the quarterback one overall in fantasy. Although he had a stretch of games where he was the QB1 overall, where you could have been very, very excited to start Justin Fields. But if he's going into this game with a serious shoulder injury, if he is active, I'd imagine that the coaching staff pulls him aside and says, hey, man, I know you can't effectively move the ball by staying in the pocket, but you're going to have to do it anyway. You're not going to be able to scramble. Let's try to limit it. Let's try to limit your hits. I don't know. I don't rely on Justin Fields as an elite level quarterback this week. If he does end up being active against the Jets, A, I don't like the matchup. And B, I think we would probably view him as that low end quarterback one, mid quarterback one, just because I think the rushing production will be down. Now going over to Los Angeles, the Rams are 15.5-point underdogs to the Kansas City Chiefs. A-Rob, you don't know about. Tyler Higbee, I mean, we can assume that he's playing, but still, who the hell knows? We don't even know who the starting quarterback's going to be here. So at this point, I think that we have to go through and say, bench every single Ram. The Rams went from winning the Super Bowl last year to this week projecting to have the worst offense in the NFL. Like, please, do not rely on anybody in Los Angeles. I know we said that Tyler Higbee was going to be a viable option with the injury to Cooper Kupp, but now that we have Matthew Stafford missing, combined with the fact that Tyler Higbee himself is injured, I think Higbee's not going to be that intriguing anymore. But a tight end that maybe is going to be David Njoku. Going back to what we've been saying with David Njoku, I think that is a clear spot. You don't want to be going through and starting Njoku until you actually see him at 100%. Like, it looks like he is going to play, but just like we said a week ago, you're excited about the long-term upside of David Njoku, especially when you're going to be getting Deshaun Watson in here. I don't think you rush to go out and start him right this week. I mean, you had Harrison Bryant seeing more volume than him last week. Now, Corey Davis is going to be good to go. I mean, with Corey Davis, obviously, it's somewhat intriguing. Zach Wilson being benched. I mean, you also have Garrett Wilson taking over as the wide receiver one. I don't want to start Corey Davis, but I think this does mean that you can move Zach Wilson down a bit until we at least see what we're getting from Mike White here. I know most people are expecting White to be an upgrade over Wilson, though. And now our next one. A.J. Brown obviously dealing with some illness. Now, this will be something I want to continue to monitor. Please plan on starting A.J. Brown. Like, if we go through and look at the underdog projections, I mean, I think that these are so valuable to look at because we talk about this all the time. Underdog knows more than I do with these projections. They know more than you do with these projections. If they were wrong with these, they stand to lose a lot of money. And with A.J. Brown, you see the illness. Maybe you're a little bit worried to start him, similar to what we had with Devontae Adams a few weeks back when I started him, even though he was sick, and clearly we got burned because of it. But if we're looking at the player props that they have with A.J. Brown and the projections you're seeing this week, I mean, they still have A.J. Brown in a very aggressive range at 74.5 receiving yards. So I think that he'll still be someone that you have to rely on in your starting lineup, but just lower your expectations a bit. Know that the floor may be a little bit lower. But I think that should be it. Of course, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this live stream. I will continue to give injury updates as we get closer to Sunday. Obviously, we still have some players that are game time decisions. I just realized we forgot to mention Raheem Mostert's out. That means you have to jam in Jet Wilson Jr. Please get him in your lineup. Sorry that we forgot to put a screenshot of that up. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. I will be live tonight answering questions live. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Drop a like if you have not done so already. We're very close to 200 likes. And if you want to check out any of these player props, link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, available in damn near every state. And also week 13, only for people who use promo code FLOCK, we are going to be able to get you a Patrick Mahomes special bet. Patrick Mahomes week 13 will be at 0.5 passing yards for everybody who uses a promo code FLOCK. But thank you again. I truly appreciate you. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll be good to see you in the live stream tonight.